This is FE Peer Review, the Flat Earth Peer Review channel. The date is October the 23rd, 2020. The video in review is by Chad Preston Official and is called World Record Shows Evidence for a Flat Earth. We see here Chad Preston Official's video on the screen. I'm not going to play part of it. I'm not going to play it, but I'm going to take you down into the description. It's regarding two towers of 50 feet high and a radio microwave transmission from one tower to the other over 146 miles, about 235 kilometers. And that Chad's assertion is that the curve of the globe would interfere with such a transmission, which is typically a line of sight transmission. Chad says the transmission of a long-distance microwave signal on a globe is impossible. The only way this world record transmission could happen over a flat surface. I left Chad a response on a comment. I'll quickly read it, and then I'll move on to more information to support this. Too little information. The towers may only be 50 meters high, but unless they are both at beach fronts, the elevation of the ground on which they are built must be taken into account. Do you have the precise locations of the towers so that we can determine the ground elevations at both points? Without that, no factual conclusions can be made. Please try to find this information and follow up. There are mountain ranges in both Cyprus and Lebanon on which such towers could be placed for a line-of-sight transmission on a globe Earth. I have determined the necessary height and found many locations at and exceeding those heights. Do you know what the minimum height must be? Surely you must have calculated that before making your video. Otherwise, you would have not been able to make a fact-based assertion that a line-of-sight observation would be impossible due to Earth curvature. In his description, Chad Preston Official also refers to a radio transmission performed by Marconi in December 12, 1901, in which the message traveled 2,000 miles from Cornwall to Newfoundland, Canada. I refer to that in the next part of my comment. Marconi's transmission was affected by a then unknown but now well understood phenomenon called skywave or skip propagation, in which radio waves reflect off the ionosphere and bounce back towards Earth. This and other interesting wave propagation phenomena are well described in this article by the Federation of American Scientists at their website. And I will take a quick look at that first. Propagation of waves. This article at FAS.org, Federation of American Scientists, has a nice section on skywaves as well as a lot of other interesting wave propagation information for anyone interested in pursuing that part of this question further. A little bit of background history on Marconi's radio transmission can be had at history.com. There's a nice little article, First Radio Transmission Sent Across the Atlantic Ocean. And in the article, it says Marconi's achievement, the transatlantic transmission won him worldwide fame. Ironically, detractors of the project were correct when they declared that radio waves would not follow the curvature of the Earth as Marconi believed. In fact, Marconi's transatlantic radio signal had been headed into space when it was reflected off the ionosphere and bounced back toward Canada. Much remained to be learned about the laws of radio wave and the role of the atmosphere in radio transmissions, and Marconi would continue to play a leading role. So there we have it. Marconi himself misunderstood his own happy circumstance at the time. However, over time, and by the 1920s, this phenomenon was well understood and was actually used on purpose to extend transmissions. So that's what we have to say about Marconi. Now, I wanted to show you guys this map of Cyprus. The darker areas, the browner areas, are higher elevations. So we have elevations of close to 2,000 meters in this Mount Olympus area in the west. And then there's a range of, there's a ridge running along the north coast of Cyprus that rises up to around 700 to 750 meters in places. We can see that ridge all through here. And just moving my mouse over that ridge, I found a number of locations where it got up into the 700s. There we go, 850, 840 meters. So we're looking at mountains of at least 850 meter height in this area and almost 2,000 meters in the Mount Olympus area. Across the water in Lebanon, where the other end of the transmission took place, there are also peaks that are well into the above 1,000 meters. There's 1268, 1311, 1366. So we have peaks over 1,300 meters in this part of Lebanon. Taking a peek at Walter Bislin's curve calculator, we have an observer height of 1,100 meters and a target size of 1,100 meters. That would mean that these towers would be built on ground of 1,050 meters high, which we found there are plenty of locations on both sides of the water where that could take place. We have a distance between them of 235 kilometers, and refraction has been set to 0 here, so I'm assuming that they're not, that we're going for a straight line of sight. And at those elevations, 1,100 meters on both sides of the water, we have, at 0, which is showing 0 refraction, we have direct line of sight between Cyprus and Lebanon. So there you have it. What we have with Chad Preston official's video is simply too little information. He's making a claim, but he has not provided the information needed, which is that he needs to show us that these two radio towers were not built on high ground. Since line of sight was so important, and since they were proud to be achieving a record, I think until we know more, we have to assume they did not place these on beachfront property where they were going to get the shortest possible line of sight. They probably went for the highest elevation location they could get their hands on. So, whoever you are, Chad Preston official, you're going to need to answer that question about where these towers are located, and that information I was not able to find quickly. I'm not going to do your work for you. If you're going to make this assertion, you're going to have to back it up with the work necessary. So find where those towers are located and get back to us and let us know. Thank you very much. As always, I am putting all the websites mentioned in the links in the description. References are in the description. And this is FE Peer Review. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. Please subscribe and check some of my old videos. You might find some other interesting things there. Comments are always welcome. Just keep them polite. Thank you.